find out what people want, make sure the relationship bank deposit you make is something of value to them before you try to make a withdrawal.
Welcome to Fry Your Chickens, the podcast about facing fears, negativities, and self-doubts that can hold us back. Or as I like to call them, chickens. Get ready because it's time to tell those chickens that are holding you back to shut the cluck up. We will learn how real people did exactly that. I'm your host, Phil Barth. Let's get ready to fry. My guest today is Ed Rigsbee, CSP, CAE. Ed and I met through Cigar PEG, which he's going to tell us all about Cigar PEG. He's going to tell us quite a few other things. But first off, let me say, Ed, welcome to the Fry Your Chickens podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Ed has his official Fry Your Chickens chicken, and I'm glad you brought it to the show. Ed, first off, let's start with where you and I met. Cigar PEG. Tell our listeners about Cigar PEG, what it does, how it benefits speakers, and how it benefits the world.
Sure. Thanks for asking, Phil. Cigar PEG is a 501c3 nonprofit charity. We're IRS recognized. Something that I and a friend started years ago at the National Speakers Association convention. After a couple of years, he bailed out. I kept doing it. And we started it just as kind of a little bit of a renegade party. And then a couple of years later, Patricia Fripp said, Ed, hey, why don't you make some real money to give away? And I said, well, Patricia, how would I do that? And she said, well, create an auction. And I said, well, who would I auction? And she said, me. So that led to the whole concept of at our parties, having an auction, making a lot of money, giving it to the National Speakers Association Foundation and several other charities. We've given like $250,000 to Laura's Hope, Hereditary Disease Foundation. It's a project out of Canada, Hereditary Disease Foundations in New York, and a host of others. So, we just continue to give money. And over time, Phil, maybe why you joined, we became a community within the community of the National Speakers Association. And some people join because they care about charity. Some people don't care about that. Some people join because they care about community. Some people don't care about that. And some people join because Cigar PEG helps them solve their problems, meaning that they learn how to be a better speaker, how to be better at marketing, how to get more business. That isn't our main thrust, but definitely on our weekly Wednesday calls, we sure cover a lot of content in all kinds of areas about being a professional speaker. And, then we do those masterminds around the country, limited attendance. Like Key West, we limited to 18 and everybody's in line wanting to go. And it's like, sorry, full.
Yeah, I'm still in line.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you have to pay off the executive director, get higher in the line.
Okay.
So, we believe in bribes. So, there's a lot that Cigar PEG is, a lot that we do. Cigar PEG means different things to different members. I've tried to, over the years, create a community and environment where, everybody gets served. So that's Cigar PEG in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I think my reason for joining, or maybe not joining, my reason for joining was Jamie Champagne said, Phil, you need to be a part of this group. Jamie's a fellow member. And I said, I'll check it out. And I said, this is a great group. I'm going to give money to charity anyway. I might as well funnel it through this group and
Sure.
and learn. I've learned. And it's a great community. I have been to one of the masterminds. Fantastic events. You just do a great job. So there's learning, there's community, and there's helping people. And I think you do a great job of combining the three, which is why I'm sticking with it. That, and I can't wait to hear what Dale Irvin says next. So
Dale has been an integral part. Back when what was it, year 2000. Um, just a little side story here that probably nobody cares about.
I
But
do.
Dave Gordon, very strong religious right guy, was president that year of NSA. This was 2000 convention in DC. And Grant Doyle and I had started Cigar PEG. We found out that David pulled Dale from the program. So there wasn't going to be an update. And it's like uh, Grant said to me, said, "Hey, can we put him on our thing?" Oh, yeah, sure. Let's look. So just word of mouth, wandering through the conference saying, "Oh, by the way, Dale's going to be doing an update at Cigar PEG," to where everybody wanted to come. One of the best things, thank you, Dave Gordon, for kicking Dale off the NSA program. I mean, even Nito Quabain was there. Harvey McKay was there. I mean, just a lot of these big names. They didn't care about Cigar PEG. They just wanted to hear what Dale had to say. And and ever since then, Dale has been a real strong supporter and has really showed up to help the Cigar PEG party. So if you wonder why I have a little bit of a loyalty to Dale, it's because of everything that he's done to help the Cigar PEG.
I I just I love Dale. He's been on this show. We talked before we went on before you came on that he was actually put on as a Cigar Peg member before you, and we'll work through that the wounds that I've
Oh, you mean the
inflicted on.
angst I have for not
Yeah,
putting me first?
for not putting
Yeah,
you
yeah,
first. Yeah,
we'll work
yeah,
on that.
yeah. We'll figure that out. It may require bourbon when if we do the event in Kentucky, but at any rate, yeah, Dale is hilarious, and he's got a great heart too. So awesome, dude. But we're not here to talk about Dale.
No,
Hell with Dale. Hell with Dale.
no, we're here to talk about me.
Dale had
My
his
favorite
time.
topic is to talk about me.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. Well, since we're talking about you, tell me about your book on associations and what you do for speakers and associations.
Sure. You know, the Aiden Crawford and I created the ASSC Association and Society Speakers Community several years ago, right after COVID hit. And I was chatting with my youngest son, Jonathan, at his house in Arizona, about, was it 3 years ago or something, and talking about the community. And I said, I'd really like to get that community up to about 300 people. And he said, well, why don't you write a book about, what you guys teach and give it away at the NSA convention? Well, that's an interesting idea. Never thought of it. So I went to Aiden and said, Aiden, what do you think? He goes, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. So effectively, I took one of my 2-hour recorded speeches, had it transcribed. That was, 90% of the book. I went and played with it. Then Aiden went and played with it. And, you know, we had a book basically talking about how to bypass the gatekeeper, how to get into associations, to speak at associations, because associations are the gatekeeper to corporations. So first learn how to get past the gatekeeper at the association to get a booking. Quick inside note, find the decision maker, not the meeting planner. And then that would be also where speakers could use that if they did the right little stories, little very subtle sales pitches in their speech. I repeat, very, very subtle. And just backtrack here. Speakers that get up and start selling in their speech, everybody hates it. Everybody hates them.
Yeah.
So that's the dumbest thing in the world you can do. But subtly tell stories of your successes, how you've helped other clients similar to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've done the translation for them. People don't think anymore. I wonder if this person could help my business. You've already told them that it could. So that's how you get into corporations. So that's what, the book was basically about, teaching people, here's how to do it. And got a lot of real positive comments. We weren't trying to make money on the book. We were just trying to get the idea out to the marketplace and hopefully get people to join our ASSC community. Can I give a plug on the website?
That was going to be my next question. So
Okay,
plug away.
It's speakercommunity.org. Speakercommunity.org.
The link will be in the show
And
notes.
just one other quick thing. The difference from our community versus others, you can join for a month. We don't make you join for a year, this or that, other. Join for a month. If you like it, stay. If you don't like it, leave. We're the easiest organization that helps speakers to quit if you don't want to be a member anymore. So
Makes a lot of sense. And
yeah,
and the ASSC meets once a week, like
we
Cigar PEG.
pretty much, yeah, pretty much every Wednesday except for the fifth Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific or noon Eastern, we have a Zoom call. There is a little bit of a hate to admit it, but there is a hierarchy. I, you know, After we got this thing going, most of the people that joined were my friends from Cigar PEG. And they'd been in the business for, like 10 years, 20 years. And as time went on, a lot of newer people started joining that were trying to break into the business. And then it's like, oh, now we got the problem like chapters of the National Speakers Association have. They cater to the newbies, and so the more experienced don't want to come. So with ASSC a couple of years ago, I kind of broke it out, and the second and fourth Wednesdays we have an ASSC Elite call, and you have to be invited into that group. So we don't talk about how to create a one sheet. The topics are at a far, far higher level. And just this year, I came up with an idea. After reading Alan Weiss's book on communities, I thought, let's see if Alan's got anything to say that's different. And sorry. Anyway, one idea he talked about, you really should do live events. So I was in Hawaii last year and finished up reading the book. And Tom Getsky was there for the Cigar PEG Mastermind. And obviously Jeff Owens, because he lives in Hawaii. And Getsky came over to the hotel I stayed in and said, Tom, got an idea. What do you think about doing a strategic planning session in Las Vegas? Only invite the ASSC elite, and I'm not going to charge a lot of money. I just want to break even on this. I don't want to necessarily make money, but I want to lose money, which I did. I lost money, but anyway, yeah. Oh well, that's the way it goes, But it was to get people together and just really nicely beat the piss out of them on a lot of questions that forcing them to look at this and look at this and look at this. And 8 people registered. And at the end of the 3 days, I created a workbook and everything. Everybody's going, holy cow, this really, and the newest speaker, I think, was probably close to 10 years. And the most experienced speaker was more like 30 years. But it forced everybody to stop, recalibrate, reevaluate, and make a decision on what I'm going to give up, what I'm going to do. Am I going to chase gigs, or am I going to build authority in an industry or two and move forward? So, with the ASSC, I kind of had to break it up and have an elite group of more experienced speakers and the regular group that anybody that would like to join is more than welcome to join.
That's really a powerful concept. I like and you and I have talked on the Cigar PEG calls. This is kind of the year of me saying no for a lot of things that you need to focus. And it sounds like that's what you're doing with that group. And it also sounds like for newer speakers, you've got it set up so that the ASSC, and I'm going to be honest, the 12-year-old in me goes, ASC, but the ASSC helps those newer speakers.
Well, when you talked about ASC, years ago, Dale and some friends created the American Speakers Society.
If you had said, guess what cigar PEG member did that, I would have gotten it right.
It was Dale, John Dolan, Larry Wing, and a couple others started it. It was funnier than hell.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we're all guys anyway, and a lot of them on Cigar PEG fall into this category, such as myself. We're all 12-year-olds. We just have some of us have a lot of experience at being 12-year-olds.
I feel there's a lot of truth to that, and there's a lot of value to be able to, just in life, to be able to get somewhere where you can just cut loose.
I understand you have a trip coming up where you're going to be speaking, Australia. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Lindsay Adams, who is the one of the head organizers of the Global Speakers Summit in Cairns, Australia, next month. As a matter of fact, Lindsay and I met at the Global Speakers Summit 2007 in Dubai. And we just, we'd never met before. And I found out that it was him and his wife's anniversary coming up within a day or two. And his wife was there. And I just mercilessly gave him grief about, why aren't you taking, Debbie over to the Gold Souks to buy her something for the anniversary? Why aren't you taking Debbie over to the Diamond Souks to buy Debbie something? Just beating up on him. And we kind of hit it off. Australians like to be beat up on. And if they like you, they'll beat the hell out of you too. And then when I was there, he said, hey, I'm going to be in California. We're going, I forgot exactly what I was doing, but he was going to end up in Santa Monica. It was just over the Santa Monica Mountains from where I live. Not that far. And I said, yeah, let me know. I'll drive down to Santa Monica, pick you up, bring you to the house. And Lindsay's wife, Debbie, and my wife, Regina, hit it off really well, sitting out on the deck, enjoying the sunshine, drinking champagne to no end. Lindsay and I stopped drinking because we realized we had to get them back to the hotel, back to the airport at some point that evening. And then just been, friends over the years. Lindsay helps out with Cigar PEG. He's a high roller. He's part of the staff, whenever he's there, he wanted a shirt called with just like here. His shirt said Cigar PEG Door Bitch. Because he spent a lot of time watching the door. That was one of his jobs. So I made him up a shirt, Cigar PEG Door Bitch. Joe Crisillo eventually made his own shirt, Cigar Bitch, because I had him sell cigars. But yeah, so everybody has their title with bitch after it. And it's just, so Lindsay invited me to be one of the general session speakers, and then decided to work me over. So at the GSS, I'll be doing a session, I'll be leading their CSP session and talking about alliances. Then at the GSS, I'll be the closing general session speaker. And then the next day at the Australia National Association's board meeting, I'll be talking about the stuff from my book, The ROI of Membership, and ideas for member recruitment and member ROI. So yeah, it's going to be big. We're all going to, my wife and I and Joe Crisillo and his wife, we're going to go to Lindsay's house for a day or two. Then we're going to fly up to Cairns, do some things, stay a couple of days, do some things. And then I'm going to jet over to Melbourne. My brother immigrated to Australia, oh God, I don't know, 10 years or so ago. And he's in Melbourne. So when we get done in Cairns, we're going to go, Regina and I are going to go to Melbourne. So we're going to be there from I think we leave here. Hold on. I have a calendar handy. I can tell you. That way people can come and rob my house, except for my mother-in-law will be here. So we leave Friday, March 6th, and we come back Wednesday, March 25th. But don't come and rob my house. My mother-in-law will be here.
He's got somebody here. Yeah. That's great. I think we've talked about this. One of the things I like about this business is if you are going somewhere and speaking, you can turn it into an extended vacation. I've done that in Europe a couple times now. And it's a great way to see the world and do what you love. So
I think a speaker, a lot of speakers get into the business, speaking business, for lifestyle, and it's good to remember, if you did get into this as a lifestyle, to stop and smell the roses on the way and take the extra time to do things when you're going to be there. So I've never been to Australia. I'm not going to go tour all over, but I'll do a lot with Lindsay and with GSS, and then go over for like 5 nights and see my brother. And that's good enough. That's plenty extra. Smell the roses time.
Talk about stop chasing gigs.
So here's the thing. I've done selling to associations intensives for speakers since the 90s. I've been doing a program on going in the back door through editors for speaker chapters and the National Speakers Association at the annual convention since the mid 90s. And here's the thing. So many speakers do a terrible job on positioning themselves, number one. And if they don't position themselves well, they don't know how to sell value. They don't know how to sell their worth. And so they're bouncing around chasing gigs. I'll take any speech I can get for any amount of money. And a lot of speakers, any topic, I can read a book and be an expert on it in 2 days. Well, they can, or at least they think they can. So, and there's this gig chasing as opposed to going deep. So you can laser focus how you want to go to market, or you can just, totally unfocused, totally haphazard gig chase. But if you go deep into an industry or two or three, you're no longer just a subject matter expert. Now they see you as a thought leader. And in those industries, because they get to know you, they're going to start calling you rather than you having to chase. And when they call me, well, I'm not giving discounts on my fee.
No.
So I think that too many speakers spend too much time gig chasing. And when you talked about on the Cigar PEG call the other day about what you're going to give up this year in 2026, I think that's a really important thing for people that want to stop gig chasing and start going deep in an industry and become an authority. Gig chasing is transactional. Going deep in authority is investing in yourself. So I think that's a big thing that a lot of speakers don't quite understand. And I wished somebody would have taught me that when I joined the National Speakers Association in 1988. But nobody did teach me that. So I spent a lot of years fumbling and bumbling around. I admit it.
And that's one of the things I like about Cigar PEG is it cuts that learning time and cuts that learning curve, and that's been extremely valuable to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what else do you want to talk about?
Bourbon and cigars.
Okay, so I started just as a fluke doing cigar reviews about 10 years ago. Just something to do. And then I decided it'd be fun to do a cigar and some kind of a spirit review. And then about, 6 or 7 years ago, my younger son, Jonathan, wanted to get in on my action. And he said, "Hey, Dad, we should start Rigsbee Reviews, where we do cigar and whiskey reviews and we chat about whatever." And it's like, okay. So we started doing that. And then the little SOB goes and moves to Arizona. So now I don't get to do as many reviews with them. I have to bring some of my friends in because I kind of started doing a two-person type thing. But a few years later, he's finally moving back to California. So hopefully we'll catch that back up. But it was just, so I got Cigars International. I'll throw out a pitch for Cigars International. And you can find them on the internet. I'm not going to give you their website, but you can probably figure out what their website is. And they, so I started asking different cigar companies that I've met at different cigar shows and this and that and the other for samples to review. And then I reached out to Cigars International, and they started giving me, a larger quantity. And they'd send me a 5-pack of whatever it was. And so 2 cigars to review and had 3 left over to, give my guest reviewer a cigar and have a couple for me. And that's led to where I think just recently we did episode 93. So it's a fun thing. Now I've got 10 bottles of whiskey sitting in my bar in queue, ready to be reserved, ready to be reviewed. And yeah, I got more whiskey than I've got cigars ready to be reviewed. But it's just so I like to open the bottle of whiskey or rum. I pretty much do predominantly any kind of whiskey, any kind of dark rum, once in a while gin. If somebody brings me a gin that's unique or special. Um, so it's not trying to make any money on it. It's just kind of a fun thing that I do. And I think, Phil, when you talk about leaving footprints, leaving legacy, I've got 4 grandchildren. Someday they might go to YouTube and find their grandfather. Go, what is this? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
My grandkids will someday see all the rubber chickens. So,
Absolutely.
you're having fun with it. That's the key. Okay. Now, you've got a couple beliefs you said you wanted to talk about. First off, tell me about your belief in persistence over passion.
Yeah. So early in my speaking career, a guy by the name of Michael LaBeouf, back in the 90s, he was kind of a big name at the National Speakers Association. He had been very successful in getting a lot of books published where they give pretty substantial advances. And we hit it off. When I was running around the country doing workshops for Dun and Bradstreet, I had met him a year or two before, contacted, say, hey, I'm going to be in New Orleans, where he lived at the time. Let's get together. So we went out, had dinner, and chatted. And I call him every once in a while. And one day I was talking with him, and I said, Michael, what does it take to make it in the speaking business? I'm still early in my career, struggling. And he says, it's about passion. Not passion, I'm saying. It's about persistence. Sorry. He goes, it's really about sticking to it, sticking to it, sticking to it. And I started seeing at the time some of the people that were getting into the business like me. And I think they were smarter than me, better looking than me, maybe told stories better than me, but they were like a 110 light bulb hooked up to 220. And they're very passionate, but they didn't have the stick-to-itiveness or let's call it the grit, okay, to muscle it out, to keep at it, and they'd go back and get a job because they couldn't make it in the speaking business. And I started seeing this all the time, not all the time, but frequently. And I started realizing it's not about how passionate you are, which passion's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say passion's worthless. But if you don't have persistence coupled with passion, you're not going to make it in the speaking business. And people that say, I'm passionate about this, the passion's going to make it all happen. It's like, yeah, good, right. Write me a note in 5 years ago, tell me about your new job. And so I think that's the hardest thing for speakers, subject matter experts, thought leaders, people that want to use the spoken word, either live or digitally, to educate or influence people. It's about whatever it is you choose. You've got to have the grit to stick it out, the persistence to keep at it and at it and at it. And when you think you're going to give up, you don't. You keep at it and at it. And eventually, I think most people that have the persistence, most people prevail. Most people that only have the passion, they fail.
That is an excellent way of reframing what I have said in some keynotes, where I said passion is nice, but you have an obsession. You're going to get there, because obsession to me also says you're going to have the persistence, because you're obsessed with hitting that goal and you will do whatever it takes to get there for as long as it takes to get there. And
Yeah, although there's one thing I'll say about whatever it takes. There's a guy by name, I forgot his first name, his last name was Sugarman. And he wrote a book, oh God, probably back in the late 70s, early 80s. And it was something about the key to success or something about success. The title of the book was Success. And one of the things that he said in that book was you have to be willing to do everything to be successful. And I took that and I said, I'm not willing to give up my family.
right.
That's the price I will not pay. All the other prices I'll pay, but I will not pay that price. Now, I know some people that were willing to pay that price. They've really excelled. And we can look at various speakers that we know that are big names that have been married a number of times. So, and they were willing to pay that price. I wasn't. So, it's, are you willing to pay every price? I'm willing to pay almost every price.
That's fair. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. I would not sacrifice family in the pursuit of any goal. But that just speaks to me that you have your priorities right, and you know what number one is, and it's not the goal. It's family. How long have you been married?
Well, how long have I been married?
Yeah.
This anniversary in October will be 52 years.
Nice. Very good.
So, yeah, we have two sons. Both of my sons are a little bit like me, unemployable. So, my oldest son, his name is Ryan. I'm wearing his Rigsbee engineering shirt or jacket that he gave me. Today's a rainy day in Thousand Oaks. I rarely get to wear my cold weather stuff. So today I get to wear my cold weather stuff. Anyway, Ryan is a fire safety engineer, first a civil engineer, second a fire safety engineer. And he built a company in Orange County. He's down in Tustin, doing a lot of investigative work and all about, fire safety, flow systems, mitigation, whether sprinkler systems work or not work. Fascinating work, stuff that I don't understand. And my younger son, Jonathan, who I thought he was going to be a federal law enforcement officer, he went to school, got hired up in Acadia National Park as a federal law enforcement officer, did it for a summer. They said, "Oh, we'd like you to come back." He goes, "Nah, dude, this is a shit show." he came back to Southern California, wasn't sure what he was going to do, got recruited to be a recruiter. And he took to that like a duck to water, started making a ton of money. And after a year or two, he realized, I can do this better. And he started his own recruiting company. And now, how long has he been? 3 years or something? It's kicking ass. He's got 10 or 11 employees, 12 employees, whatever it is. And his company is Topa Group. Ryan's company, as you can see on the shirt, Rigsbee Engineering. Very, very pleased that even though the boys are a chip off the old blockhead and are more than likely unemployable, they've managed to create their own careers and create their own businesses. So I'm very pleased for them with that.
I think you showed them the way to do that. You showed them
hopefully
how that can work. So
hopefully,
absolutely.
Hopefully.
Good parenting.
It was my relationship bank deposits.
Oh, speaking of that, wow, that's a hell of a lead in. Tell me about the relationship bank ledger, Ed.
Yeah, this is I in my book, Developing Strategic Alliances, which came out, I think, in 1999. So I've got 3 books on strategic alliances. I've got The Art of Partnering, 94, Developing Strategic Alliances, 99, and Partnership that Wiley published in 2000. In the Developing Strategic Alliances, originally published with CRISP, I talked about 4 alliances. You've got to make relationship bank deposits before you can make withdrawals. And then talked about relationship value updates, because if you made relationship bank deposits, but they weren't things that people wanted, well, then you're like spitting in the wind, because you're doing stuff for people that they don't want and they don't see it as valuable. Well, when that book came out, it was, and the first bunch of books came to the house. Um, my in-laws were at the house, and opened them up, showed everybody, hey, look at the book just arrived. And when my mother-in-law's getting ready to leave, they're there for Christmas or some darn thing. Anyway, Easter. She goes, "Can I take one?" "Oh, sure, help yourself." "Why do you want the book?" She goes, "I really like all the relationship stuff in the book." So I started positioning the book to women. He'll think it's a business book, it's a relationship book. And
Nice.
but that, yeah. So a little bit, as I kept working on this idea and working on this and working this idea, started looking at, we all have a relationship bank ledger. And if we make deposits before we try to make withdrawals, probably the people that you want to withdraw from will probably be willing. It's what I teach speakers, that are trying to sell to associations. Go in the back door through the editor, because the editors don't get a lot of calls. You're never going to go in straight to the executive director. Make a relationship bank deposit. Give them your articles for their publication. Before you hang up, ask for a slight withdrawal. Just ask who the real decision maker is. Most speakers waste their time talking to meeting planners, and meeting planners are generally the logistics people that decide what color the napkins are. And too frequently, let's face it, we all have ego, and meeting planners want the speakers to think they're the decision maker, but so frequently they aren't. So speakers spin their wheels, spin their wheels, spin their wheels. And so if you're going to make a relationship bank deposit, make it with the editor, find out who the real decision maker is. Now you can go sell. Well, throughout life, everything in our life, you think of somebody, you meet somebody at a Chamber of Commerce, and they're out passing out cards, shoving cards in everybody's face. They don't give a hoot anything about me. They're shoving cards trying to get business. "Hey, man, buy me a cup of coffee before you try to take me to bed, huh?" And so there's, and today the worst place is on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Constantly, people are wanting to connect, and the first thing back is a sales pitch, and I pretty much then go and disconnect.
Yep.
And or I'll send them a note. "Hey, man, buy me a cup of coffee before you try to take me to bed, huh?" And it's just, and people don't understand, or they don't think about that, or they're into a hurry, or they're into themselves, that, if I want you to do something for me, it's much better for me to do something for you first, and relationship value updates, for me to make sure that what I do for you is valuable to you. Because getting back when I first got into the speaking business, Patricia Fripp used to talk about the platinum rule. And then years later, Tony Alessandro wrote a book, The Platinum Rule. He was a little late to the game on that, but and basically the golden rule is do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Okay, fair enough, not bad. But the platinum rule was do unto others as they would have you do unto them. So it's a subtle difference, but a huge value difference. So find out what people want. Make sure the relationship bank deposit you make is something of value to them before you try to make a withdrawal. And that's just, it's simple. A lot of people understand, a lot of people know it, but so many people lose sight of it, forget it, and get into their own heads and forget to do something for the other person first.
Everybody's sick. LinkedIn. Hey, would you be looking for this? And I don't know. I think it's like, if I sell that way on LinkedIn, for the people who do it, I can trick myself into thinking that, well, I did 100 things, so I must be doing something right. And just, you're spinning your wheels, and it's stupid, and I don't know why people do it, but that's what they might go through.
Something, Phil, that is number, let me look and see what number it is. Pillar number 6. Activity does not always deliver results. However, strategy does. Tactics equal activity, while strategy equals career investment.
See, there you go. I love pillar 6. Tell me the other ones.
Okay, so as I said, I'm working on my presentation for the Global Speakers Summit in Australia. So I was working on in thinking of the idea of stop chasing gigs and start building authority. Pillar number 1, associations are the gateway to corporations. We've talked about that.
Yep.
Pillar number 2, stop prospecting meeting planners, the logistics people, and start finding decision makers.
Yep.
Pillar number 3, without proper positioning, a speaker cannot sell their value and will flounder aimlessly. Pillar number 4, scattered strategy is gig chasing, which is transactional. And focused strategy means going deep into an industry to create authority as a thought leader, which is an investment in one's career. Credibility is built inside an industry over time. Pillar number 5, related. Elevate yourself from merely being a subject matter expert to being a thought leader, because in the 80 interviews I've done with association decision makers, I've clearly learned that the subject matter expert gets the $2,500 keynote and the thought leader gets the $15,000. I'm sorry, I blew it. The subject matter expert gets the $2,500 breakout, where the thought leader gets the $15,000 keynote. Let's see. I shared pillar number 6 already.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to number 7. Digital marketing does not equal human connection. Here's the interesting thing on that. You know, so many of us today, and we're hearing so much about AI. And AI is great if I want to take my own idea and concept and let AI make it better, work on it, add in. But AI isn't going to create a positioning strategy for me.
Nope.
AI is not going to build a human relationship. We have to do that.
Agreed.
Okay, so let's go to number 8, which is what we talked about a while ago. Number 8, the relationship ledger. Always make relationship bank deposits before attempting withdrawals. And pillar number 9 is when a speaker does a presentation. Story over theory delivers. If you are overtly selling from the stage, that's despised. Yet, if you can prove that you can deliver value through explaining how you helped a client, similar to the people in the audience, solve a problem, then they don't have to wonder, I wonder if the speaker could help me. They already know.
Yep.
And that's subtle selling. And in every speech, there should be about 3 stories about how you helped a client in a similar industry to the people in the audience solve a similar problem to what you're talking about in your presentation. Those are the 9 pillars.
That is awesome.
Thanks.
Very,
I
very
thought they were
good.
pretty good.
Yeah. I would have to agree with you. Okay,
Anything
that's
else?
a lot of. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Anything else, or you want to go into your question?
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of value, but I think now we need to get to. We haven't had a chicken really talking on this yet, and you talked about the value of AI. So we now have a house band on the Friar Chickens podcast to introduce the most important song or the most important thing. That is them, Lord Cluckington and the Headbangers.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. No, now here we go.
It's time for the big question, because everybody
We're gonna let them.
Phil, I'm thinking their voices should be just a little bit higher.
Probably. Probably, but they're metal. They're metal chickens, including
Well,
and actually one of them was the red rooster of regret
okay.
that AI did. Because if we
Well,
can't screw around and make rubber chickens into singing AI bands, what good
well,
is
then I
AI?
probably should share my passion is
Yes, please do.
flamingos. And you
Oh,
always got
very
to
nice.
have extra flamingos around just for fun. So I keep my flamingos handy. Um, I particularly like the stained glass one.
Yeah, that's
So
nice.
yeah, and I have my flamingo socks and my flamingo underwear and all those things. One time when I did a presentation for the Connecticut Speakers Association, a chapter of NSA, they had watched one of my videos. Somehow they saw flamingo or something, and they gave me a pair of flamingo socks as a gift. And it's like, how cool is that? When you talk about back on the relationship bank deposit, they gave me something that was valuable to me.
Right.
Now, I will mention another chapter, which happens to be in the middle of the country, which will go unnamed. They gave me this stupid cutting board in the shape of their state. And it's like, what am I going to do with that? I was going to throw it away at the airport. You always remember, here's a trick. Never throw away a speaker gift in your hotel room
Never.
because they might call the conference person and say you left it. Always take it to the airport and throw it away at the airport. But I brought it home, and my wife goes, what is this? I don't know. And it was just a cutting board like that. And then she goes, oh, I can use it for something. And so it's actually getting used. It was value to me, but it was value to my wife. So
Well,
okay,
they
thank
really
you.
thought about it, and I know it. I know in the Ohio chapter, and I'm going to apologize if this was back when the Ohio chapter didn't give a lot of thought. But in NSA Ohio, we do look into what the speakers' likes are and get them something that syncs up that will be of value to them. That's how you do the relationship.
Yeah, and see that the interesting thing, I mean, I don't want to badmouth a chapter of the National Speakers Association that happens to be in the southern middle part of the country. Um, oh, did I say that? Sorry.
I didn't do
Uh,
it. We can
yeah,
bleep it.
it's an interesting conundrum because, like, let's just say a company, an association, a speaker chapter, whatever, they make up a speaker gift, which is whatever, and without much thought, it's like, okay, it's nice to give a speaker gift. I mean, I remember years ago, I was in Cincinnati, and Toyota gave me a big glass plaque thing, which that was kind of cool. But I think that that not enough people think about if I'm going to give a speaker gift or if I'm going to make a relationship bank deposit, what is it that that person might appreciate it? And to get the answer, it might take 5 minutes
Yeah,
to do some research.
yeah. Tune into my podcast and look at the background of my screen. You can probably figure me out pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
All right. So the question that
Okay.
the chickens were coming to you with, one that we have asked many prior guests, which would you rather fight? One bear-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized bears, and why?
Okay. I have the answer to that. Let me back up. So I saw a movie a long time ago, and I forgot the name of the movie. Don't know who the actors were, but the basic thing was there was this guy that was living in a monastery or somewhere, and just he was very very large. They called him the giant, and some people from the U.S. found him. They took him to use him in the movies and put him on a horse, and he was like this big monster. And then they brought him to the United States, and they put him in a ring to wrestle with, you ready for this? 12 midgets. And
I have not seen this movie.
and they swarmed him. So to answer your question is I would rather try to fight the bear-sized chicken because I've only got one opponent as opposed to all the chicken-sized bears because those guys would swarm me and they'd pull me down. So that's why I would like to fight the bear-sized chicken.
It's there are no wrong answers in this question. So well done. You gave it some thought. If I can find that movie, I'll put it in the show notes. Sounds good.
Just, I cannot remember. It was interesting because in the movie, so the guy, the giant, they put him on a horse, and I guess the day before somebody got him drunk, and so he's yelling out this big command, and he has projectile vomiting all over, and I remember the director said, "Oh, let's keep this in the movie." Or I thought he ruined the movie. It's like, oh, let's keep this in the movie. It's like we'll vanquish our, enemies or something.
I love it.
It was a stupid C-level movie. It wasn't even a B level, and I can't remember. But I can remember scenes from movies sometimes here and there. I can't, like I used to watch a lot of movies in the airplanes, and it's like. My wife would say, "What movie did you watch?" I don't know. I forgot the name of it, but it was about such and such.
Right.
And I couldn't remember the name. So there you go.
I always, when I'm flying somewhere for business by myself, I always pick a movie that I know there's not a chance in hell my wife would want to watch. So, the Naked Gun type movies, I watch them on airplanes. So, all right, now we've got the next. Oh, shit.
It's time.
No, it's not. Okay. Once they start, they won't stop. They live for the heavy metal chicken music. And now we're going to the other AI trick we have on this show, and that is the talking puppy. All right, so this is Darcy. She is made up for Fat Tuesday in New Orleans, and she has a question specifically for you.
Excellent.
All right, so here we go. Darcy, you are on.
Hi, Ed. You've spoken all over the world. What has been your favorite place to speak at, and why?
Okay.
Darcy,
So Darcy, while you're in New Orleans, I've presented in New Orleans a bunch of times, but that's not my favorite place. I've got to say, I think my favorite place was doing a 2-day workshop in Bangkok because they put me up at the Shangri-La Hotel, which was just awesome. Just awesome. Now, second to Bangkok was probably Dubai because I got to hang around in the old canal. And then after my presentation, a couple of days later, I went to the Global Speakers Summit. A few years ago, Abu Dhabi was kind of neat. They created a convention center, and I was invited to be the first, their first meeting where I facilitated all of the panels. That was neat. Well, next on my list, I would say would be Kuala Lumpur, and I can't remember if it was a Crown Plaza. I think it was. But the really cool thing with Kuala Lumpur, besides the weather was great, but the hotel there had a breakfast buffet that I'd never seen in my life. There was food from every country in the world, breakfast fare. And it was like, oh my God. It was like I died and went to heaven just going around. And then probably lastly, as far as my top ones, Jaipur, India. Now, my wife did tell me before I went to India, you got to be really careful. So I would not drink beer in a glass, only out of the bottle. At the country clubs, they thought that was a little tacky, but hey, I would not eat lettuce or anything that was fresh. If it wasn't cooked or boiled, I wouldn't eat it. So I never got deli belly, but when I was there speaking to the India Association Congress, a few other ASAE people were there, and we did some tours, and it was just a very cool thing to be in a place so very different. I will tell you a funny one, if it's worth mentioning. So a speaker chapter of the National Speakers Association, which was Virginia, I was speaking for them down in Richmond. And we did the presentation in a bar. not in a private room in a bar, but in a bar. So that was a very unique thing, and probably one of my most fun presentations. Most fun. So I was doing a 2-hour workshop for a group called Kinderdance. Now, what Kinderdance is, it's a franchise, and women get these franchises to teach. They go into the preschools and kindergartens and those kinds of things, and have a program where, as a extracurricular activity, they teach dance. So after my 2-hour workshop on partnership marketing, all the women got up and learned a new dance. Well, they had to be in their leotards to learn a new dance. So for 2 hours, I'm staring at 40 women in leotards. I at the end of my talk, I said, "You guys got to come and sit around me. Somebody got to take a picture." Nobody's ever
absolutely.
I can't find that picture, but it just, it was like, can you imagine, speaking to 40 women in leotards, and some of them were younger and quite attractive. So that.
Ed, thank you so much for your time today. Where can we find you online?
Probably the best place to find me is Rigsbee.com, Rigsbee. Don't blow it and spell my name with a Y like many people do, like Riggs and a bumblebee. So Rigsbee.com is a great place. You can find me at cigarpeg.com. You can find me at speakercommunity.com. And you can find me at Ed Rigsbee at LinkedIn.
Excellent. Ed, thank you for your time. It just occurs to me that with all the t-shirts and my role on Cigar PEG, someday I will probably have a Dale's Music Bitch t-shirt, since I play the intro music for Dale Irvin when he concludes. But until that time.
That's an interesting thought. Well, it's good, Phil, that people like you, talk about what their relationship bank deposits should be, because I wouldn't know if they didn't tell me.
Well, if that ever comes to pass, I'm gonna have a picture with Dale and I together with you.
I will consider that as a possibility.
Ed, thanks again. This has been a blast. Thanks for everything you do for the Cigar PEG community and for charitable organizations as well.
Absolutely.
And for everybody out there, keep on frying. And hey, it's Phil. Like today's show? Well, you'll clucking love my Fry Your Chickens newsletter on LinkedIn and Substack. Links are in the notes.